We are going to premiere El País Invisible by Miguel Zenón in 2020. We're very excited to have the opportunity to bring it to Columbia, Missouri and perform it as part of the We Always Swing jazz series. So I grew up in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. And growing up in Mayagüez, you had the opportunity to study music at the Escuela Libre de Música. And when I was young, my sister started in the local music program studying flute. When I would go to the school and we were waiting for her to finish her lessons or band rehearsal, sometimes I would wander the hallways, and there were a few times where I would look over one of the balconies and there was a young percussionist practicing on a pad, just doing the drills. This percussionist would just be there practicing most of the time that I was there. It ended up that this drummer, this percussionist, moved to the United States and became part of the Miguel Zenón quartet. And because he was from my hometown, I followed him with some regularity, and some of his musical accomplishments and musical successes. I started to encounter recordings with Miguel Zenón and that quartet. And this is a big part of how I became aware of Miguel Zenón, and it sort of played a role in my first opportunity to meet Miguel just a few years ago, and then eventually approach him about working on a project together. Initially, I never thought that looking over the balcony and making an observation on a percussionist who was just there practicing what seemed like endless hours would lead to my sort of coincidentally bumping into one of the most successful Puerto Rican saxophonists, and then eventually having the opportunity to work with him on this project. Miguel is thinking about Puerto Rico as a colony, and how Puerto Rico has been a colony for these many hundred years, and how that has an impact on how the island is seen, or basically not seen at all.
So the piece I'm going to write is called El País Invisible, which can be translated as the invisible nation. Is sort of built around this fictional tale, semi-fictional tale, about an island that sort of floats aimlessly in the sea, with a status that's sort of torn in between being colonized by the most powerful empire in history and trying to connect with its neighboring country. And obviously, this is all based on the current political status of the island of Puerto Rico, where I'm from.
Working with Miguel Zenón is going to be really exciting and extremely interesting. As a saxophonist, he's somebody who is really well established in the global community. He's had a tremendous amount of success. As a musician, he has accomplished quite a few things with his career, but one of the things that really attracted me to his music, and then eventually reaching out to him to work on a project together, is the fact that he has sort of been an advocate for Puerto Rico's musical history through his own projects. Another way of saying it is that when we're performing Miguel's music in the mainland United States, you will get an uniquely Puerto Rican experience, because we're working with a composer that has made a career out of studying Puerto Rico's musical traditions and Puerto Rico's musical history and incorporating it into his creative process. So the way I'm trying to execute this vision is by, first of all, working with a photographer, and we're really lucky to have Erika Rodriguez, who is based out of Puerto Rico. She's going to be with us during our time on the island, basically documenting some of our experiences And on top of that, we're going to try to document some of our conversations with community organizers or members of the community or community leaders and create some video documentaries of the time that we're spending there. In creating this image, we will be able to bring some of these experiences back to the mainland US. And when we get the opportunity to give concerts across the United States, we will occasionally be doing gallery displays of this photography, and we will also occasionally be displaying video of our time on the island. Part of my vision includes a writing project that I am trying to develop in collaboration with authors Todd Miller and Daniel Immervar, as well as musicologist Catherine Lawson, to basically look into the history of the relationship between the United States and Puerto Rico. What we're going to do is develop a writing component that can be used in place of traditional program notes or liner notes throughout our performances next year and beyond, so that our audiences in the mainland United States and throughout our tour can read a little bit and better understand how we got to the point where we are. You know, one of the things that I have in mind for the project and bringing back documented experiences is to, you know, create an image of the island that goes beyond the normal understanding of Puerto Rico as a tourist attraction or as an island nation that gets mentioned where there's a catastrophe. Simply because, you know, this idea of like cultural exchange or exporting culture can then translate into better awareness. And that's something that's really important to me, is this idea of raising awareness through music.
So the piece is coming out of this place. Of course, it's gonna incorporate a lot of elements, but ideally, it's all being fed by the idea of what Puerto Rico is and what it has been in the past, and what it can hopefully become in the future. I'm definitely looking forward to the collaboration. I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to bring all of this to life. I think having Miguel in the mix and having his composition in our repertoire is going to add a whole other dimension to the repertoire that we're performing, but obviously the sound that we might be able to achieve as a group.